You don't have to believe in what I believe in, but I want to share something that everything in this universe, in this life, takes energy. It takes energy to argue, it takes energy to love, it takes energy to practice something, it takes energy to sleep. Okay? Everything takes energy. So, what I want to touch on today, a topic that I think is really important, is that when you're trying to become a new version, when you're working for something, when you have this model, idea, business opportunity, friendship, relationship, whatever is in your prized possession, right? When you're trying to reach that, I don't think people understand, because again, I didn't realize it either, of how much you're actually feeding your distractions. You're not really feeding your opportunities, you're feeding your distractions. What I mean by that is everything takes energy, right? So when you want to become a new version or you're working towards something, there's going to be things that are tugging at you to keep you in an old state of mind, an old comfort zone, an old way of thinking, an old way of talking, an old way of viewing, an old business model. Whatever the case is, that's going to come knocking at your door when you are trying to do these things. Now, feeding the opportunity looks very differently than I think a lot of people may think of how this looks. Feeding the opportunity, I'm going to use new version. I have a lot of experience with this. When you're becoming a new version of yourself, feeding the opportunity for growth looks like not arguing to someone that you always argue with. It could be a relationship, it could be a family member, it could be a coworker. You're feeding your distraction. That's what's stopping you from stepping into that new version, because you're too busy feeding the distraction. You're too busy arguing over something that really is irrelevant. Do you see how if there's like two bowls of something, okay, two glasses, you're dropping one little ball, one marble, into the distraction. Meanwhile, your opportunity, your room for growth is being starved. So a lot of people are feeding their distractions and starving their opportunity for growth off very simple, basic things. I want to zone in on that. Feeding your opportunity looks like differently for everyone, but it looks like removing yourself from situations that no longer serve you. You may have heard that time and time again, but it's true. You're giving energy and you're feeding energy into your distraction by staying in that job, relationship, argument. I mean, whatever the case is, there's gonna be things that literally will drain you, quote unquote, drain you of your energy, because you're too busy feeding it as the distraction of what's keeping you from stepping into whatever, whatever the prized possession is for you. Now, for me, how do I say this? For me, this was very uncomfortable for me, because I honestly didn't know that I was feeding my distractions. I didn't know that arguing with someone was putting energy into that. Now, when you think of that, to me, this was really hard because I didn't realize it at the time, but I liked to have the last word. And I don't know why. I think I was just raised that way. I think it was just something that I saw growing up. So naturally, that's my program, right? I like to have the last word. On the inside, I really didn't care, but that was my program. So when I'm not arguing with people anymore that I would used to, it looked like I wasn't getting my view across. If I don't argue with them, then I'm not getting my view across, and they're not going to be able to hear me. What happens when you argue with them anyway? Do they hear you? No. That's the whole reason why you're probably arguing is because you're trying to be heard. You take that back and stop arguing, okay? One, you saved your energy. Two, you still didn't get heard either way, so it's actually irrelevant if you partake in it, if you give energy into it, because some people are just designed to misunderstand you. And there's nothing wrong with that other person, but some people just have completely different viewpoints than you. And sometimes you won't always be understood by everything and everyone. You won't. That's where you come into like yourself of who you are, knowing that, you know, I am validating this for myself. My point of view is valid. My perception is valid. How I feel is valid. So I'm not going to spend my energy trying to prove this to someone else. The validation of what I'm validating for myself. I'm not going to do that anymore. I've validated it within myself. So I'm not going to spend my energy by feeding the distraction anymore. I'm going to stop. And what it looked like in the beginning was, I'm not getting my view across. I'm not getting my words in. They're not going to know how I feel. They're going to think they have power over me. They're going to think I just back down. That was a lot of ego things for me to work through to finally stop giving into feeding the distractions. Now, when I took that back, I started actually putting pebbles into the opportunity for growth. Dropped one in every time I stopped doing it. Dropped one in every time I removed myself from, you know, this doesn't really fit kind of where I'm going, and I don't really kind of understand why I'm here. So I'm going to remove myself from this situation. Dropped a pebble in the opportunity for growth. I'm starving the distraction, right? I'm feeding the opportunity. I'm starving the distraction. There's going to be a lot of things like that on your journey to whatever journey is your destination, so to speak. There's going to be a lot of things like that. What are you giving energy to that does not serve the version that you want to be? What are you giving energy into that's feeding the distraction and not actually the opportunity for growth? Okay, I want you to really think about those things, because these were, again, I talk about it a lot, reality shattering for me. These were paradigm shifts for me that, you know, my perception of how I view things is completely valid. No matter if someone else validates that or not, I was giving that validation to myself. Now, the other part of this was when I realized that within myself, there was no need to argue with anything or anyone anymore. Even if they didn't understand, that was okay. I didn't have to get my point across anymore because I gave that to myself. I gave the validation to myself. And now I said, like I said, the second part of this is I started to see other people completely different. Maybe I was one of those people to them that I just couldn't understand them while I was in that kind of state of mind of only wanting my view to be validated, my view to be heard, my argument to win. Maybe I was one of those people to them along their journey that I was just designed to misunderstand them. It's not the person. They're not doing it on purpose. It's just the state of consciousness they're in. That's all it is. If you can separate the person from the mindset, you will look at people completely differently. I have to remove myself from this. I love you, but the mindset is I can't be around this mindset anymore because I'm trying to grow into XYZ, and I can't be around this kind of mindset anymore because it's occupying, it's feeding the distraction. You know, I like the saying where it's like, you know, you are what you eat, you become who you hang around. Those things are very true. When you're around a bunch of entrepreneurs that are constantly feeding their opportunity for growth, you don't see them arguing about stupid stuff. You don't see them airing their business out on social media. You don't see them judging and throwing opinions in and their 2 cents in when no one asks. You don't see that from them because they are on such a self-growth journey, or such a, like, you know, business, whatever they're doing, entrepreneur journey. All their focus is them. How to be the best at them being their self. Because when you hang around, we'll use that. When you hang around those kind of people, you become more like them. You blend kind of energies with them because you're seeing them execute this so beautifully. You're seeing them execute, not arguing with someone, even though you know them and it's like, wow, they have a totally different view than that. I can't believe they didn't say anything. They don't need to. They don't need to, because they know who they are. They don't feel the need to argue with someone that's got a different viewpoint than them. And this is kind of big into like all kind of the election and stuff that's going on right now. I'm not a political person. I quote unquote say I don't live here. My state of mind and where I live, it's completely different from like actual 3D reality. So I just live in a totally different state of consciousness, is what we'll say, where I don't pay attention to any of that. I just don't. I don't want to. I don't care to. It doesn't really affect me in my reality at all. You know, I'm too busy focusing on me, working on me. Anyway, that's a good point to that too, though. You know, you see these people handle things with genuine, with integrity, with humility, and it's like, how do I get to that place? I've had that same moment. I started surrounding myself with different people. I started being in conversations I thought I'd never be a part of. I started also seeing myself as like, wow, I'm actually the person in this conversation that's got a totally different viewpoint, that is like, it's not that big of a deal if no one understands me. They're not on my path. They don't see my vision. And I'm going to go into, you know, while you're on a new path, I'm kind of going all over the place, but again, bear with me, it links in. When you're on a new path, you're going to have people that only know the old version of you, and they want you to stay as that old version because that's what they know. So this is where you're feeding the distraction of, are you letting those people into your vision? Are you letting those people dictate kind of how you're living your life? Are you letting those people, you know, judge and their opinions trigger you? You're feeding the distraction. Let them live their life, because where you are going, they can't see past where they are, okay? They can't, can I say it again? They can't see past where they are. Where you are going, it is further than what they can imagine for themselves. There is nothing wrong with that. No one is higher or lower here. I'm just saying they cannot imagine what you have imagined for yourself. So while you are on this new journey, while you're on this new path, while you're working towards building an empire, whatever the case is, you're going to have distractions along the way. That's the main thing I want to say today, is you're going to have these distractions. It's up to you to choose whether you're going to drop the pebble in and feed the distraction, or will you feed the opportunity? You feed the opportunity, you like vibrate out the mix. All of a sudden you're in different conversations. You're in different rooms with different people. You're in networking, you know, you're around just completely different people that are on the same mindset as you. That's all it is it's a mindset thing. When you start to change your mindset, you start to, one, get dragged back by the old mindset of who you used to be, around who you used to be, and how they thought. They're going to try to bring you back in because that's all they know, okay? We don't have to, you know, point the finger at them and like cut them off and this and that. Now, sometimes you need to. Sometimes you do have to distance yourself. But I want you to look at them not as the person, as the mindset. What kind of mindset are you around right now that you probably shouldn't be around? Whether it's family, whether it's loved ones, whether it's a relationship, whether, I mean, you fill in the blank there. Don't look at it as the person. I know we love the person, but is it the mindset that we need to be around right now? Do you have to distance yourself from that mindset? Feed your opportunity, okay? Starve your distraction. If those people are meant to be with you at the very end, guess what? They grow with you and you find them along the way toward, you know, further along in your path. But right now, you may need to starve your distractions. And I hope you do that. I hope you see how every single thing takes energy. Everything you put your life being into takes energy. So what are you using your energy for? What are you using it for? Are you feeding your opportunity, or are you feeding the distractions? Well, if you keep feeding those distractions and you're unaware of it, that's why I wanted to make this video. Sometimes a lot of people are unaware that they're feeding the distractions. They don't have the comprehension yet that, oh my God, that's what that means. I'm feeding that when I really don't want to. You know, I can't figure out why I'm still around all the same people and I feel like the oddball out. I feel like I'm, you know, completely different. That's because you're staying around your comfort zone. You're staying around and feeding the distractions of who you used to be. Who you used to be fits in with that crowd. Who you used to be used to think like them. Who you used to be fed those distractions because you weren't maybe on a path yet, or maybe you didn't see more for yourself than you do, back then. So yeah, sometimes you're just unaware of it, that everything takes energy. Every single thing you do is in your daily habits. I say it over and over on all my social platforms. I say it over and over anywhere I can speak to anyone, because I talk to a lot of people daily, especially with my clients, and the people I talk to on a daily basis. It's all in your daily habits. Wherever you want to go in life, what in those daily habits is feeding the opportunity for you to grow? That's where I really wanted to talk about today. Separate the mind from the person, the mindset from the person, okay? Don't put your finger at the other person. Don't blame the other person. They are exactly who they're supposed to be, and they are exactly where they are supposed to be at in life. It's your choice to choose to separate yourself from the mindset. You still love the person. We get it. We know that. But you got to distance yourself to go where you're going. That's the key here. Feed your opportunity. If they're meant for you, they'll be along your way. You'll meet up later on. But you staying small, you're feeding your distraction, and you will never get the full opportunity to step into who you're supposed to be if you stay around those mindsets. I learned that the hard way, myself, definitely. So this was an interesting little episode today. It was quick, it was short, but feed your opportunity. Go be great and go be you. Whoever you're supposed to be, fully step into that existence. Fully step into it and feed your opportunity. I love you guys. I'll see you next week.